I'm Robert from Melapress, and with me I have Aurelio. Quick introduction, Aurelio.
Hey, Robert. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm Aurelio. I'm French, and I'm the co-founder of WP Umbrella,
Good.
which is a WordPress management tool for web agencies and WordPress developers who manage like multiple WordPress sites, and so they can do it from a single place and save a lot of time and prove the value of WordPress maintenance to their clients.
Nice. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining, Aurelio. It's been a pleasure. Just a bit of background. I've known Aurelio. I think I mentioned it on my social media. Ryan Dewhurst, a friend in common who is still the founder of WP Scan, introduced us via email. And yeah, I think in 2021, and then I met Aurelio at every WordCamp Europe since then. Of course, you always came to visit, or we looked for each other. It was always nice, of course. Most of the people we get here is like basically people we meet at WordCamp. But basically, that highlights the importance of these type of events. Yeah, it's quite nice.
And there is one thing that you don't know, but I think you were one of the very first person I met in WordPress, and I think you were the first one out of the little French community that we have in Lyon. So that's nice.
Nice.
That's very special to me.
Thanks. Yeah, I think you had told me that I was the first one. Nice. It's nice to hear these things. Definitely, that again highlights the closeness of people in the WordPress community, especially some people, which is great. So yeah, just a quick reminder: we do these live streams every Thursday. This week it's at 5 p.m. Central European time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Usually it's at 4 p.m. At the moment, we have a few changes. We're still kind of filling a bit the shared schedule, but yeah, very soon, hopefully, we'll have like a standard time. You can ask us any questions. We have a few people saying hello guys. Thanks everyone for joining. You can ask us any questions you want during this session. Me and Aurelio will be talking about managing multiple websites. But yeah, if you ask us any questions, we'll answer them. If you're watching a recorded version, you can always send us a question at questions@melapress.com, and we'll get back to you, or we'll answer it during the next session. Before we start, I know you gave us a bit of summary of what you do, what Umbrella does, but yeah, a bit of shameless promotion, which is fine. I would say there are a few other solutions, of course, but in your opinion, what makes kind of or which problem you're trying to solve with WP Umbrella, or better, what makes WP Umbrella different, or what is your unique selling point with WP Umbrella compared to other services?
So I think because the market is well established. You have tools like Manage WP that everybody know, was acquired by GoDaddy in 2013, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You have Main WP, which is self-hosted, and we have other player, but so it's a well-established market. And what we do, which is different, is that we have not made a tool for anyone. We've made a tool for people whose job is to do WordPress maintenance, and we are only targeting agencies and freelancers that are selling care plan to their clients. And our whole user experience and all what we do is to that end. And so basically, if your goal is to manage and maintain multiple WordPress sites, WP Umbrella offers a better experience because it has been built only to that end. And we don't try to upsell you add-ons or to give you the burden of hosting and managing the solution. So basically all what we do, our USP, is how can we foster and boost the productivity of your agency when it comes to this, and equip you with the right processes and the right stack. I'm not sure if it was very clear.
No, it is clear. By the way, as you know, of course, I use your account. We've been lately working, of course, to support each other, especially with WP Active Doc and stuff like that. One thing I must say, the interface, not because but the interface of WP Umbrella really stands out because it's really neat, sharp, easy. It's there's not extra fluff. It's very easy because sometimes you go into any product. I'm not just competitors, but even normal plugins. Sometimes you go into some plugins or some services. We have a lot of options and things, and there's very straightforward, very neat. The options that you need, kind of, it's very easy to use. That definitely I noticed that, which is a big well done. Because I think it's it's very easy to just, when you have an idea, you put it as an option, as a setting, and the most difficult part is having a very easy to use product that does a lot. That is the, don't you agree? No, like that's very difficult, to do.
And I think it's possible because I'm the CPO actually, so I'm CEO, CPO, and I'm not a technical person. And when I saw, and there are great tools, so I don't want to say bad things, but when I saw the market, I was like, come on, I mean, how can people still use it in 2024? It's very much like using Linux these days, while we have great other software to run our computers.
Exactly.
Linux has so many cool things, and there are many cool things. For instance, if you are using main WP and you want to self-manage and host all your data, this is a fantastic use case. And if you want to do just that, WP Umbrella is not the right tool, for instance. But that's basically why we created WP Umbrella. Like, okay, there is like massive opportunity to clearly do something. So let's do this thing.
Interesting. In fact, that was one of my questions, because typically founders, most products, even like mine, for example, you start by to scratch your own itch kind of thing. Like you were like, what was your experience with WordPress before? Because even you said like I was one of the first people in the WordPress community. Like, were you already familiar with WordPress, or like it was just you were browsing that maybe this is like something we could work on?
So basically, when I was a teenager, kind of like, everybody working with WordPress, I was doing WordPress websites.
Okay.
Kind of for fun. I was able to code a theme from scratch, this kind of basic PHP, HTML, CSS stuff. And then I stopped, and my co-founder was with me in primary school, and we have known each other forever.
Wow.
And one day we just reconnected after like 10 years of not seeing each other. We had a few beers, and it quickly turns out that we both wanted to create a company, and that's how it started.
Nice. I've seen some funny memes. I think I used to hear it a lot on Top Gear as well, I think. Yeah, but like there were, or it's some saying, some famous saying, something like no great idea was ever discussed over a salad, but always over a beer, or something like that. Which is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's impressive, and especially if you know the person since primary school, it's like, wow, it's really.
Yeah, no, it was, but it was not like, I always know it. No, Thomas is one of my best friend, but when we connected back, it was just a guy I knew from primary school.
Yeah, it's yeah, impressive. Good. So yeah, like, in your opinion, like WP Umbrella or Aside, whatever, like in general, as you said, like you deal with a lot of agencies nowadays, of course. So like in general, like what, in your opinion, what do you think are the top 2 or 3, or even like the most common problem agencies find when it comes to managing and scaling up 100 plus or even like 1000 plus websites? Like what are the typical issues that agencies have?
So I think everything is coming from why they created an agency, which is very related to why they jump into WordPress. We are like pirate people. I think you and me both, and so are our users. And they started an agency because they were starting to make websites, and they made 1 website, 10 websites, 20 websites, and then they needed to hire. And so they created an agencies. But I think most of the agency owners in the game right now, they didn't mean to become agency owners, actually. And it just happened overnight. And the main challenges and the main challenge and the main weakness that I can see among our users is that the lack of processes, the lack of checklist. Because it doesn't matter if you are not like the most technical person in the room. No one cares about this. But you need to have, like, of course you need to be technical, but you need to have checklist. You need to have processes in place. So when something goes wrong, you have the right safety net, and you can understand where and why the issue is happening. And I think this is it. Like, do you have an onboarding checklist for your clients? How do you onboard your clients? Do you have a basic security checklist? Do you have checklists for WordPress maintenance? What are your processes? When do you do the update? Do you do your update like every week on a regular basis? Do you do your update like whenever you want to do them? How do you choose a hosting provider? Do you have like a clear list of criteria in mind? Because from what I can see, most of the issue we have with WordPress, they are almost always coming from the hosting provider because it's undersized, and because you are trying to put too many sites on the same server, or because you don't invest enough in the right security tool, or because you keep your backup on the server. And all of this, it comes from a lack of processes, in my opinion. And it's not the same thing to manage 10, 20 websites and to manage like 300 or 400.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, funnily enough, it's interesting you're mentioning this because, funnily enough, yesterday I was on a panel, security panel at the Ethereum Summit. I think you were in one of the panels as well. No, you had a talk.
I sent someone from the team because I was.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so and yeah, one of the questions was like, in fact, like, because it's true, like we're always like, okay, we're talking to you, or like I develop security tools, plugins, you develop not security, but yeah, management service. We're always like, okay, we need more tools, But in fact, yesterday we're talking also about like, yes, it's good to have, of course, the tools and stuff like that. But it's also like, I think the user themselves, because sometimes, we just received an email yesterday about WordPress. Then someone said, like, WordPress is easy to hack, so we're stopping using WordPress. Yeah, I think users, it's not easy to point fingers. And I'm not saying like, because I understand like if someone has a brick and mortar business, like a bakery, I understand the last thing they want to hassle is like, like setting up some policy or stuff like that on their website. And that's why there are agencies. But I think also like agencies should also do, they have a service like W Umbrella, they have plugins like ours, but they also, like there are things which no service most probably or no plugin can replace, right? Like as you're saying, like do you ever encounter like any agencies who have like, okay, if there's a security incidents or if we lose a website, do they have like these kind of, have you ever seen like someone with actual to-do lists and stuff? Is it common? Or
I have never seen it. It doesn't mean that they don't have it. But I mean, if you're running an agency with multiple team member and managing hundreds of websites, you must have this kind of process. And this is the main difference between the agencies that scales and the one who doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's. I think also one point you clearly mentioned, like most of us, us, like even like the biggest players in the market, like Yoast himself and himself, Yoast CEO. When we all started, we never would have imagined, even when you start an agency, that you end up like with customers and with employees. You're always like, oh, this is a small hobby we're playing around, and all of a sudden, within a few months, you're like, oh, I have employees, so you need to. And I think it's very common. It's the same, I think, with security, especially everything, even with management. It's very common. You're always busy recruiting new customers, building new websites, and you tend to forget these things. No, it's very common. I think it happens even to us while running the business. Not the first time we recruit someone new. Like we have a new market here a few months ago. Like, do we have this? Do we have this? Someone was like, no, like, because you're always busy. No, it's like, it's a common problem.
And this is the thing, like agencies, they have so many things to do. It's a constant struggle. You have to hunt for new clients. You have to hunt for employees. And actually, I have been willing to organize like a physical event in France with agency owners, which would not just be like another WordPress event.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they don't have the time to attend this kind of event.
I can imagine.
It's a hustle, and they are just too busy. And I think this is also one thing we need to help them doing, but it's so hard with our tool. It's like, guys, you need to take the time to step back, to review a bit what you are doing, to gain productivity. And it's so hard because at the end of the day, you need to pay the bill, you need to keep your clients happy, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, it's a bit. I understand because we've been through it. Even you're still a startup like us, and we've been through it ourselves as well. Sometimes you think by doing something you are saving time or you're more efficient, but in reality, it's just if you stop and spend half a day focusing on automating something or whatever, even if it's a small thing, you'd be surprised how much time you're going to save in the future, which is a very common problem. In fact, like it's the same like with security. I know it's like even in WP Umbrella, you have you can have alerts for plugins, themes, and site like and core and stuff. Like, is it something you maintain or you use like a third party? Like you send them emails? How does it work exactly? Because as you know, like security is very important. So like.
Can you rephrase your question?
Sure, because you have a section like in WP Umbrella where you send alerts about vulnerabilities.
So this is powered by PatchStack.
Okay.
Because when it comes to this kind of things, I mean, security, it's a full-time job.
Exactly.
And you need to have a community of hackers who are like being paid and constantly reviewing like plugins, because plugins are being updated. And so we choose PatchStack because we have the biggest vulnerability database in WordPress. And they are also an EU-based company, just like us. And communication and synergies are always a bit easier.
It's good to see that you like, because we work with PatchStack a lot as well. They're a very nice bunch, and it's good to see that, as you said, sometimes it's not about doing everything yourself; it's about delivering what the customer needs rather than. And as you said, security, like anything, even like management, it's a full-time job. You cannot just
But also for agencies, in the end, it's about adding value to your clients, and nothing else matters, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what you're doing. You're adding value rather than makes sense. In fact, like it kind of like works hand in hand, security or not. Like, how do you help? As in, like, there are often, of course, a normal website. I don't know what's the average number of plugins a normal website have, but let's say 10 to 15 usually. Like, how do you, and let's say you have an agency of 100 websites, 200. Like, how do you help these agencies like tackle updates usually? Like, how does that?
Well, we are not a security plugin. And this has to be stated. For instance, we don't do 2FA. We don't do this kind of thing because that's not our mission.
Yeah. No, I know, but what I mean is like, because as part of the umbrella, of course, like if you have 200 websites, you help them. There's a release, security or not. For example, there's a release of WooCommerce, for example, an update, and they have to update WooCommerce on all their clients' websites. Like, how do you tackle that usually? Like,
so what we do, and this is part of our monitoring job, is that we send an alert when a vulnerability flows is discovered. This is one thing. And the other thing is like, if we come down to WooCommerce update or a major plugin update, we have like a safe update feature.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly. Yeah, can you expand a bit on that? Because that's very interesting, actually.
And so what we do is that first thing first, we check the requirement of WordPress. So, I mean, can you update the plugin like PHP-wise, WordPress version-wise? And this is like the most basic thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Then we take a backup of the plugin folders. Then we take a screenshot of your homepage. Then we do the update. Then we check the status code. And if it's not 200, we roll back automatically the plugin folder to its previous version to mitigate the downtime. If it's a 200 status code, we clear the cache, we take another screenshot, and we compare them both. If they are identical, then you're good to go. If there is a difference, you have the possibility to either roll back the plugin folder automatically to mitigate the downtime, or you can review the screenshot yourself. And by doing this, we mitigate most of the downtime and issues coming from plugin updates.
Oh, so it's pretty much automated. I'm quite impressed that even if it goes wrong, you restore. So basically, agencies can literally, let's say if they have 100 websites and they click of a button, they can update all the sites. And if one of them goes wrong, it's rolled back, and at least they don't have downtime and can take the time to set up staging, look into it, and stuff like that. Well, that's definitely helpful, because I think, I think what is the most common task when it comes to an agency maintaining someone's website? Typically, not keeping the website up to date, maybe minor changes. What are the most common tasks agents, apart from the initial stage, of course, like onboarding the customer and building a website, but then running day to day? What are the most common tasks that agencies have, kind of thing, when running a website?
I mean, it depends. If you have built a nice website and you don't have installed like 200 plugins and things are easy, then WordPress maintenance, it's so easy. You can almost tick the auto update box on WordPress and just send the care report with the WP umbrella. I mean, you have a nice setup, a nice host, and you almost never have problems. And so your only tasks are linked to like custom works or custom WordPress maintenance, custom development that you add. And basically, when the setup is good, WordPress maintenance is like earning money for free. The issue is often you get websites that either you've built poorly or that a client, you get the client, but you didn't get to do the website first. And then it's full of trash and nothing is working. And then every time you update plugins, you have conflicts that you need to troubleshoot them. And this is a mess. And I think this is like where agencies are losing money and energy. And I strongly advise agencies to sell, and it should be like a mandatory requirement to sell a website audit before accepting any kind of website in WordPress maintenance. So you know in what you are getting to.
Okay, that's a very good concept. I never heard of it. So yeah, makes sense, because of course I'm assuming, and we see it sometimes support as well, someone inherits a website. It's like, oh, I inherited this website. It's got some very old version of something, this custom plugin, and we don't know what's happening. And most probably end up spending more hours trying to fix an update on this one than managing the other 200 websites. It's a good concept, actually. Yeah, having some sort of like checklist, and before you actually onboard the customer, like
and then you can, if the guy doesn't want to pay the audit, you can say that the audit is like, I don't know, $50, $100, and then you will get like the 2 months of care packages for free.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes a lot. I never heard of it. It's a very good idea, because I think, as we're saying, like usually if everything goes smooth, usually there's not a lot of work. As you said, it's easy money because you have the updates running, auto updates, and especially with a simple website. But when you have a complex website, and especially I've seen it a lot with still running some old version because they have some legacy software somewhere, you're going into a huge problem, basically.
And it's also a good way to test the temperature, if I can say, with your clients. Is the guy being honest about what's going on or not? What are you going to find out? And it's also a very good way to build trust, because I often tell people in the customer department that we are no magician. And agencies are not magicians either, in the sense that, dude, if you cannot even log into your WordPress admin page because it times out, how do you want us to perform a full backup of your websites? No, it's not going to happen. Final stop.
Exactly.
And you need to be transparent with people, and agencies need to be transparent with their clients, and the sooner the better.
I think sometimes it's hard, of course, but I agree with you, because even with us sometimes with support, I agree. I use the same words. Like, listen, we can do the best we can, but we're not magicians. Like, if something like, and sometimes even us, like when people ask us about even our own plugins, like, do you support? It's not the first time we send people to use other competitors' plugins. Like, listen, it's not often, but sometimes they ask for something very specific, for example, that someone else does. So we're like, listen, we don't know. It's not the scope of our plugin to do that, and it's better if you go there. There's no point. In Italian, they have this one, most probably in French, since your neighboring country might have. They have this saying like "Patti chiara amicizia lunga," which means like make the facts straight right away, and then you have long friendship. And what you're saying by making an audit or whatever, especially, you can use it as a pre-sales, quite frankly, because listen, get the audit, but you get 2 months for free then at least, so you're not paying. It makes sense. In fact, I think in terms of best practice, you already mentioned, like, for agencies, you should have like a lot of checklists, like when something happens, when a website goes down, and all this stuff. I think it makes sense. Does it make a sense for the agency like to have the not necessarily a standard, because every customer is different, but should have at least a set of plugins or a framework or whatever that they use that's always standard, that helps them? Will that help them automate and manage better the websites? Like, if they have a certain framework, like they always use on each website. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
I don't even need to elaborate. I mean, if you have your stack, the stack you trust, you also have a good relationship in the customer support department. So things can be a bit speed up the day you have an issue. And then you don't have to read 200 change logs. And what would be the point to have both a stack with Yoast, SEO Press, and Rank Math?
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can have one website where you test them, so you always get the best product, and the more plugins mean more problems.
I've seen it myself. I've seen customers of ours using 3 different ActiveDrop plugins or like 3 different firewalls. Like, why would you even want that? You know, like it's you're actually asking for problems, setting up your website to crash or fail. Quite frankly, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit, yeah. In fact, talking about this, like what framework to use and stuff like that. Yesterday during the summit, we spoke a bit about this. It's an old debate. This got nothing to do with W Umbrella or like just you as from your experience, like having some sort of an agency and now building tools for agencies. Where should, because of course, like as an agency, you are responsible. It depends, of course, on what type of service you're giving. But I'm presuming if you're an agency that you are using WP Umbrella, you're an agency that's ensuring that the uptime of websites of your customers and stuff. Like, because of course there's this question of like, if the client has admin access, then they can break the website themselves, kind of thing. I remember like Tony Perez, the co-founder of Sucuri, years and years ago, before he founded Sucuri, he worked for an agency, and he said like, if the customer wants them to be responsible for the website, the customer can only edit content. They cannot do anything else, kind of thing. Like what's in your opinion, like typically, or based also on your experience, what you see with WP Umbrella? I'm sure like to support tickets, you see a lot of agencies. Like, is there like?
I will say 2 things very different. As a CPO and as a CEO, I'm a decision, not options person. So I try to take bold choices to simplify the life of 90% of our users, which means that it doesn't fit like the 10% left, and it's fine by me. And I think agency could do the same, like no other access than the client publication access on the website, which should be good. But then you need to have a very clear offboarding package, because what happened the day the agency is being fired, and I think it's as important as the onboarding. How do you start? How do you live? Because this is how you build trust. And for instance, with WP Umbrella, it's pay as you go. You remove a website 1 month, your bill goes down. You add a website, your bill goes up, and everything is transparent. And so I think if you opt to this kind of very strong approach, then be very clear on how it's going to do for the client, so they decide to leave, and do not try to lock your client this way. And on the other hand, I think you have to think that as an agency, your client is paying you, so he doesn't have to manage the website, and he's paying you for the expertise.
Exactly.
This said, I think everybody likes to learn and to be a bit smarter. And it's very nice to do a tiny, you can do a 5-minute Loom movie that you can send to almost all your clients about what he can do, what he cannot do on the website. And if he does things that you told him not to do, then he will have to pay for some extra custom development, because you told him in a very clear contract at the beginning that he shouldn't do that, otherwise he's highly likely to break the website. It's all about transparency and being honest, I think, with your client.
Yeah, I really like your way of thinking. Yeah, the transparency, documenting everything, having processes in place, and as you said, like even as a CEO and founder of a company, you're about decisions. So it's easier sometimes. I agree with you, because it's not the first. I've done this mistake in the past myself. Sometimes you try to do something. Let's say you have 100 customers to please just one customer, but the other 99 customers will struggle, or your team will struggle with this one customer, while you could have got in the same time gotten another few more customers that match the 99, not that one. So it's you end up wasting too much time with small things. So yeah, it makes sense. I really like it. Yeah, like having that kind of straightforward approach. And this is what we're saying, like, this is what we do, this is what we can do. If someone else like, no, sorry, we cannot do it, it's better being transparent then. And I really like as well, it's the first time I'm hearing it as well. It's also good to think about the offboarding process, because everyone wants the onboarding process. But listen, how do you want to, if something happens, like the last thing you want is to burn bridges at the end of the day. So I try to keep it as.
And I mean, I was in a previous life, I was teaching negotiations in university, and people often think that they need to hide, or they need to do shady things to. Actually, I think you don't. Like, just be as transparent as possible, and it will play out well. Because if someone is trusting you enough to give you a few thousands or dozens of thousands of euros to build the website, he is entitled to transparency and to trustness, in my opinion, because you have nothing to hide. You are the expert, and you are here to teach and to give and to train, not something else, in my opinion.
No, I agree 100%. To be honest, I've noticed in the past, not just in WordPress. I'm the same as you. Like in the previous life, I used to work in other security software companies, but not in WordPress. And it happens a lot, even in WordPress. But if you're not transparent, you're just creating more confusion. You're upsetting people. So sometimes, like, even if it's a hard decision, it's easier to tell the truth and be upfront and be transparent and get on with it and face the music, quite frankly, rather than trying to go around and then you end up typically frustrating more people, quite frankly. So it's good. It's all about, and as you said, especially these people, your customers or the agency's customers, whatever, they are spending money and they have the right money that they earned, and they have the right, of course, to get the same service that you expect to get from someone else, quite frankly, a very good service. How long you've been with 2021 WP Umbrella? How long has it been now?
So the first line of code was written in 2020. We created the company in July 2021, and we quitted our job in January and April 2022.
Nice.
So in 2 years and a half.
Nice. Is there anything like, I'm sure through support and all these things, you see a lot of things, like, is there something that you've learned from a customer agency or that really stood out and changed your perspective about WordPress management, kind of thing, WordPress website management?
We are doing this like every day.
Can you give us like top 2 or 3 things that, like, whoa, that's really stand, oh, that customer, you don't need to mention it, but like, oh, this happened, and we had to, like.
I mean, the audit thing, first thing first.
Okay.
It was an idea of mine. It was coming from customers. And actually, a friend of mine was nothing to do with WordPress, had a website where she was selling like homemade soaps, and it was not working. And one day she wrote me on LinkedIn and said, hey, you should be good with computers. That's literally what she said. Do you think you could give a look at my website? And I was like, no, but I can give you a contact of one of our clients whose job is to do exactly that. And she came back to me and said, but the guy asked me $50 to look into it, and he wanted to send me an audit before he accepted. And I was like, I think it's one of the most brilliant ideas I ever heard. I mean, would you commit to repair a car without like doing a kind of diagnostic first about what's going on?
Exactly.
And so this is one good. This was one of the best practice I ever saw. And all what I've said about checklist and processes,
Yeah, those, definitely.
Because it's not about technical stuff. It's about how do you deal with human people. And that's where the frustration, because agency owners, they are computer person. Kyle from the admin bar wrote an amazing article end of year, and I think the title was like, why all devs are arseholes.
That's a good one, yeah.
And I mean, long story short, it's because we are computer people. And it's easy to deal with computer. It's either 0 or 1. And then it's super hard to find a bug. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then you have to deal with human beings, and it's not 0 or 1. Often they don't speak the same language than you because you are a computer person, so you are very good with tech, and they have no clue about what you are doing. So you need to find like a common level playing field, if I can say. Often they don't know what they want, and you need to guide them. And so all the frustration you might have, all the time that you are losing, like, and that can be painful, I think it comes from this lack of processes and communication. And this is actually one of my main takeaway after 3 years in tech. It's like, it's not about tech, it's about people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. In fact, we do it as well. Like, we try to document as many procedures as we can because it simplifies life. And I'm sure you noticed it as well. I see, like, we're a small team. We're just 7 people, but still, I see a big difference. Like when I'm talking to the marketing / designer team, the 2-3 guys, or talking to the developers. Like it's like it's like you have to act as a proxy because you're sitting somewhere in between. Because the designer sees things. It's not right or wrong. Not even developer. It sees things one way and communicates one way. It's very typical that the creative people versus the developers, techie people. It's also I'm sure you noticed that on your team as well.
Yeah. I mean, this said, I like to work more with developer because it's very forward,
Yeah. I remember. I remember even like I used to work at a much bigger company in my early career, where like in the office were like 150 people, and I remember every Friday we used to get pizzas out in the after work and stuff and stay on the roof, and having a beer and stuff. And you could tell like the teams would be split. Like you have the marketing and like creative people, and then you have the techie people, testers, testers, developers, and stuff like that. Interesting. Yeah, I mean it's been interesting. Like, what should we expect from WP Umbrella in 2025? Is there something interesting?
So we have just released our public API, which is cool because now you can build like anything out of the WP Umbrella.
Nice.
We have also just released our new reporting feature, which bring like reporting to client to another level.
I've seen that. That's very neat. The PDF, and it's very nice. Well done.
Yeah, that was a lot of time. Also because we turn everything available into the WP Umbrella in variables that people can fetch. So it was a lot of work backend wise as well. And then we have in the pipe update automation to actually allow people to run update. So, they would add the website to the WP Umbrella, set up the update automation with safe update and the reporting feature, and then they never come back. And the client get every month like all
so it's all automated quite well.
Yeah.
At least that admin part is automated.
Yeah. And then we have probably some integration with WordPress players, and maybe with Melapress, we will see.
Yeah, we're working. We'll get there. I have an update for you in a few weeks. A few days, we'll send you an email. No worries.
But basically, so far, I have been postponing every kind of integration because I was like, I don't want, because when you do integration, you do cross marketing, which is amazing.
Of course.
But it's like, where is the value in the WP Umbrella? Like, what do I need to do first? So my product is finished, and then I can make it nicer with integrations. But that's basically it for next quarter. And we'll also probably release a new dashboard and a lot of cool stuff regarding like staging management, cloning and migration, this kind of things.
A lot of interesting things for agencies, that's for sure. A lot of tools. Nice.
A lot of work.
Thanks a lot, Aurelio. It was nice having you. Did you forget to mention something, or would you like to mention something specific before we close?
It was nice to meet you, to see you, Robert.
Yeah, definitely. I guess I'll see you in Basel, WordCamp Europe. Will you be there?
I will be there.
Definitely.
It will be one of my last WordCamp because now we have a team.
I can imagine. Yeah, of course. You send the team now.
but I will be in Basel for sure.
Definitely.
I look forward to this very much.
Even I. Thanks a lot, Aurelio. As I was saying, we do this every Thursday. Please like and subscribe, and so you can get notifications when we do it. And yeah, follow us. And again, thanks again, Aurelio. Go and check out his service tool. WP Umbrella is wpumbrella.com, right?
Yeah, wp-umbrella.com.
Umbrella.com. Thanks everyone, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, Aurelio.
Thank you. Bye bye, my
Bye.
friend.
Bye.